as promised, we're going to jump in and discuss some trailer and music and compositional advice. And I've got my good friend from college, Mr. Bryan Arata, and we will have his YouTube channel as well linked into here. So, Bryan, thanks for joining us for this chat.
Very glad to be here. Happy to help in any way I can.
And just to give a little context too, you are a former educator, and we've covered your story before, and I've told a little bit about it as well. So we'll save some of that for later. Let's just jump right into the bulk of it. These kids are going to be writing some trailers this week, or writing some music for trailers. Which, first of all, I told them I know that's not how trailer music comes about generally, but we're kind of using it as a film scoring project.
Okay.
So, what kind of advice? Like, what's our format for the advice here? You got 3 or 4 tips for us?
Yeah, I wrote down a little list of just things I do. Some of it is within the, digital audio workstation, whatever you have. I use Digital Performer. And the biggest thing that helps me in creating any kind of trailer, any kind of track, but trailer music primarily, is the template. You gotta have a good template. All your samples are already loaded. You're not sitting there hunting around for stuff. Everything is ready to go with that template. And I spent weeks, months making good templates for the trailer, the main one I use for trailers. Number 2 is your plugins. Okay, trailer music is all about, not always, but a lot of times it's about being big and loud.
Right.
Bigger and louder than the other track. So the music supervisor, the director, chooses yours. And that's usually what attracts them to certain tracks. It's bigger, it's louder, it impacts them more. And that's why they choose it. Not necessarily a better composition, but it's impressive just by volume. I use a dynamics equalizer. Again, very subjective. I start with some of the default settings and I kind of change them around to what I want to do. But I found a sweet spot where I like it, but that's my first thing. I start with a dynamics equalizer.
Okay.
And second one, I have a multi-band compressor. Same thing. I started with one of the default templates that they have and messed around with it till I liked it.
Okay. We got a multi-band compressor. We can do that.
Okay. And then another big one is Altiverb, or some kind of, really high-end reverb. I love Altiverb. I've used it for years. I was on Family Guy for many years, so I use the Fox scoring stage as my go-to reverb.
Nice.
I just spent a lot of time there, listened to, thousands of tracks played through those speakers and in that hall. So I just use that as my go-to reverb. That's the only reason, because I use it a lot.
Cool.
And then another really golden one that I just discovered a couple months ago is called Waves NLS Channelizer. And that thing is a board emulator. And it emulates the Nev console at Fox. I see. So there's another thing that I use, going back to the Fox thing, because that's the actual board that's there. It's the $7 million board going through this fabulous room and this reverb, and I'm like recreating the whole thing there. And that is one thing. I think it's $79 online, and it's one of the best things I've ever bought.
Nice.
And just to have that sense of presence and that going through a really nice board, it really adds that sense of presence that I never had before. So nice. Waves NLS Channelizer. And then another really good one, I think it's around $140, but it's called PSP Audio Wave Vintage Warmer 2. Okay. And it's the same type of thing. It just adds a warmth and a depth that I never had before. Okay. And it's just a really fabulous plugin. Even the defaults, the presets that they have in there are really, really good. And last but not least on the plugins is the Isotope Ozone 6. And another really fabulous plugin. I think it was maybe $200. But all that stuff together I use in making trailers.
Right on. All right, so we got next year's Christmas list coming together now based on that. All right, we got our plugins. And we got our template loaded up with plugins, and then next we go to
our samples. These are my go-to samples. I love Spitfire strings. Okay. Again, those are the really high-end ones. I think I paid $2,000 for this thing.
Nice.
But it's really good. It's some of the best stuff out there. I played violin and I played in orchestra through college, so I think I got a pretty good sense of what a string orchestra should sound like being a player. And I listen to this, and I think it's pretty close to that. So that's one reason. But you do have to spend the money to get the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Spitfire strings, and then Cinebrass.
Yes.
Cinebrass is another really good one I like. And I played trombone. So again, got a little more perspective being an instrumentalist and then listening to these samples, seeing how good they did recording them. But Cinebrass does an excellent job all the way around. Trumpets, horns, trombones, low brass, tubas, everything. Really good. Omnisphere.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of synth you want, you can make with Omnisphere. Anything I've ever had a challenge, somebody said, well, can you do this? You make a synth that sounds like this, make a track sounds like this, and it has anything to do with synth. Omnisphere has saved the day every single time. So I think that's around $500 for each one. There's Omnisphere 1 and 2. You need both.
Okay. We like Alchemy synth in Logic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can dig into that a little bit too, because there is like a whole cinematic sort of folder in there that's got all these different sounds and sort of things that let us sort of paint a picture. So I think we'll check that out too.
Okay, Alchemy, nice. Yeah, I've heard of that. That's really good stuff too. Yeah, but I mean, with trailer music, it's a lot of it is both acoustic and synth. Mm-hmm. So you got to find some the high end stuff on both mm-hmm. areas there. Oh, drums.
Okay.
Pretty important one for trailers. What is it? Cinesample's Drums of War. I use that a lot.
Okay.
That's a really good one. And again, you can change the EQ, you can change the reverb, high-end frequencies, low-end frequencies, and make them sound how you want. Very big sounding drums, really high, little repetitive stuff. It's got it all. It's really good stuff. Cinesample's Drums of War. I'm always doing lots of listening. Mm-hmm. I'm always on YouTube or on Apple trailers, listening to trailers constantly, mm-hmm. And not only listening to them, I have a really nice set of Dyna Audio speakers that I listen to and work on, but I also listen to them on my headphones. And I listen to it in my car. I listen to it, all these different sets of speakers. So how do all these things sound in really nice pair of speakers, really mediocre, really bad set of speakers, listening to it in mono? How does it sound in mono? That is a really effective thing that you need to learn, that everyone should learn. You're trying to do any kind of music, because all these different people are going to listen to your stuff on all these different kinds of devices, earbuds, mm-hmm. nice headphones, crappy headphones. They're going to listen to it through a speaker. Maybe it's in a Starbucks and it's just a mono speaker comes with a Starbucks. It's got to mm-hmm. sound good through everything. So you got to know what stuff sounds like through all kinds of speakers. Director listening to my stuff, just through the speaker on his phone. He's not listening to it through nice headphones. He's like, what's this? How many listening to this? Oh crap! That's all he's listening to. It's from the speaker on his phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I got to do that. I got to listen to my stuff through the phone too. So you just got to be prepared for any kind of speaker like that. Yeah. And then another big thing that really helped me is reference tracks. Find a trailer track that you want yours to sound like. And then, okay, how am I doing? And you constantly reference that track while you're working on it. Am I getting close? Does it sound like this? How the drums sound? How the horns sound? Have a reference track that you like, that you want your track to sound like, and keep going back and forth, 100 times. I mean, I know it sounds like a lot, but mm-hmm. I do that. You listen to it a lot, going back and forth. Am I getting this right? Last one I have is, if you can, you're the composer, maybe have somebody else mix it. And if you mix it, have somebody else master it. You get too embedded into it, you get too, into it, and you kind of lose perspective. If you can give it to somebody else to mix, or at least listen to your mix and give you a good evaluation, that's a big help right there. That a guy who lives across the hall from me, he's a very good mixer. I do it all the time with him. So what do you think about this? And he's super critical. He gives me all kinds of great feedback. So another set of ears who had never heard that track before, giving you a good evaluation is really invaluable, because you work on it for hours and hours and hours, you kind of lose a little perspective. Whereas someone's never heard it, obviously is gonna say, oh man, that's too loud. Well, I don't like that. What'd you do for this? So that's a very helpful tip too. Have someone else help you with it.
Let me ask you this, just to wrap it up here. If someone was to have a 2-minute either chunk of a movie, or in this case, a trailer, how much time would you spend on that? I mean, you would spend however much time you had, but what type of time frame does a project like that look like for someone like you that's experienced and has got the templates, got everything ready to go? How much time would you spend on something like
that? The guys, the online libraries that I work for, they say try to make your temp. If you're writing a trailer track, try to make it 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's what he says. So for a 2-minute 20-minute track, 20-second track, from beginning to end, if I was working 8 to 10 hours a day every day, I would say maybe 7 to 10 days.
Yep.
And that's from beginning to end, from nothing to the final product.
Right.
So I've done that before. Is get one done in that amount of time, and I'm happy with it. I'm not worried about the mix anymore. I'm not worried about the composition anymore. I'm kind of like, okay, that's a good that's a good track. I'm ready to turn that in.
Definitely appreciate you giving us some tips, and we'll dig into those, and I'll package this up, and hopefully they can take these tips and run with them. So thanks a lot.
Oh, glad to help. This was really cool.